Which bonds are suitable for beginners? What is interesting for beginners, for people who are seriously interested in bonds and want to make their first investments in bonds, what do these people need to pay attention to?
We actively fight for your hard-earned money.
Well, there are quite a few things you need to consider. In a way, it presents a similar challenge as the stock market, where you also have to consider a whole range of criteria. An important point is that you look at how high the interest rate is, what the total return is, and there's a difference between the interest the company pays and the return I receive. Because based on the price at which I buy it, they are usually, though not always, issued at 100 and repaid at 100. But if I buy the bond on the open market, then the entire return framework changes as a result. And here you have to keep in mind, of course, that if I buy bonds with a very high interest rate, the risk of insolvency is also at least as assumed by the market higher. And that's definitely something you need to take into account. I would strongly recommend, if you're buying bonds, to diversify broadly and not rely on a single security. And I would actually recommend buying corporate bonds rather than government bonds in order to have more security in terms of the company's value, and generally also to get a somewhat higher yield.
What is the difference between bond ETFs and a bond portfolio that you would put together for a beginner? So every beginner could certainly say, yes, I'll buy a bond ETF. That way I won't have any problems. That way I'm involved everywhere. Or I go to Helga and have a tailor-made bond portfolio put together for me, where I can also combine stocks if I want, and so on. But what is the difference between a bond ETF and a tailor-made bond portfolio from you, Helga? What's the difference there?
Well, an ETF is a fund that tracks an index, and generally, because it is not actively but passively managed, it has lower fees. With equity ETFs that track stock indices, it's usually the case that the stock with the highest market capitalization also has the highest percentage in the ETF. It's no different with bonds. That means the company with the highest debt also has the highest percentage in the ETF. However, we believe that this isn't necessarily always the best benchmark. So if a company has the highest market capitalization, investors generally see that as a positive thing. That is, after all, market-driven. A stock has a high market capitalization because investors find it particularly attractive and are willing to assign it that high market value. With the ETF, however, high levels of debt are not a market assessment, but simply a matter of who borrows the most money. And that's not always the best decision-making indicator, which is why, in our view, many ETFs don't deliver such attractive performance. However, as an entry point, it is certainly an option one can consider. But the other important factor is that if I have an individual portfolio with bonds, I can take advantage of a very significant benefit. Namely, if I have an individual bond, I have the advantage that the bond matures. It matures and I get my money back first. If I have a maturity of 3 years, then after 3 years, the crucial question arises, is the company not bankrupt? Will I get my money back? With an ETF, it's different. There, a bond is automatically replaced by another when it matures. It just keeps going. That's why I'm more exposed to market fluctuations, and I don't have the advantage of maturity and the fact that I get my money back at the end.
Thank you very much, Helga. So if you're interested in bonds, if you want to invest in bonds and learn more about them, give me a call. I will arrange an appointment with Helga. We will meet with you and discuss investment opportunities in bonds. I believe that the current situation in particular offers many interesting opportunities to invest very successfully in bonds. And with Helga's help, I have to say, I have also built up a portfolio over several years. And I have to say, I am very, very satisfied. I would even say I am more satisfied than some investors who have dealt with stocks. So I operate well. He operates for me. He selects a mix of stocks and bonds. And I have to say, I am very satisfied. If you're interested, give me a call or send me an email at contact@swiss-banking-lawyers.com. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see you again on my channel. I wish you a wonderful day. Be wealthy and stay pure.